What is going on, everybody in the YouTube community? Today we're going to be talking about the truth behind Apple, or as I should say, the iPhone 7. So let's get right in. For the past 13 years, Apple has really wowed its investors and its consumers with all the revolutionary products they have been producing. That being starting with the iPod, to the iPad, to even the iPhone, and everything else in between. Apple has always come through with a new design, with something that looks spectacular and really just breaks the market. They were the first ones to bring smartphones to a more mainstream level. Apple did a great job of making tech users not seem nerdy and making everybody want all this smart tech without even knowing they wanted it. One of Apple's biggest secrets to success is their marketing. They are profound at their marketing skills. They are able to make the consumer want to buy no matter the price. They have admitted many times in interviews that they have the prices so high because they know people will actually buy their items. That's one of the reasons why they have the OS X for such a cheap price, because they make so much money off the hardware. This is their way of saying, you know what, we don't really need this. This year in June 2016, Apple was only sitting at $42.4 billion. Even though this sounds like a lot of money for Apple, that is a big loss. That $49.6 billion in 2015 was actually 25% lower the previous year in 2014. So as you can see, Apple's profits just keep decreasing and decreasing and decreasing. It seems that ever since Apple lost Steve Jobs, their profits have just seemed to start to decline. They haven't been as good. Their sales haven't been as good. Personally, the products haven't been nearly as good as they used to. Their innovations seem to have just left. It seems nowadays whenever we get an Apple product, it seems like it's just the same thing with a new camera or a new battery. And that's exactly what we get with the iPhone 7. The iPhone 7 is almost identical to the iPhone 6, besides the fact that it has absolutely no auxiliary port. It does have a longer battery life, and it does have a better camera. But that's about it. You still have the exact same screen resolution of the 780p, which in my opinion is absolutely terrible. Every phone in the market today being made has at least a 1080 display, if not 1440. Any iPhone that is being made today only has this 780p display. Apple could really step this up. They could have definitely changed that. They chose to go a different way and take away the auxiliary port. Now, let me explain to you why Apple took away the auxiliary port. Whenever they were presenting the iPhone 7, they said many times, quote unquote, that they did it because they were brave. I just did air quotes there. I know you couldn't have seen that. But they said they did it because they were brave. Now, the reason why I think they actually did it, and the most likely reason why they did it, is because people are starting to be driven away from Apple. They're losing a lot of sales and they needed to stay in the headlines. So what did they need to do? They needed to make it controversial. Well, how do you make a cell phone controversial? There's so many cell phones being produced today. There's Androids, there's tons of Androids, countless numbers of Androids being made. There's cheap Androids, expensive Androids, you got the Pixel, the Nexus, and the LGs and everything. So what can Apple do to stay fresh in the market, to be on the top of everybody's minds and in the back of their tongues and always thinking about it? Well, very simple. You take away something that everybody uses and loves and say you did it because you're brave. You say you did it because it's over a 50-year-old technology and everything's moving to wireless Bluetooth. Now, while that may be true, while everything may be moving to wireless Bluetooth, we are not there yet. The auxiliary port and the aux cables work so perfectly, why do you need to change it? It's kind of the whole concept of it works, why change it? Apple has always been one to change the game up, to be innovative, and to want to start new things. And so I think they thought this would be the best way to do it, the best way to get back on people's minds. And it did work, however. It's got everybody talking about it. Everybody knows about the iPhone 7 now. It's all over the internet. Everyone's like, oh, the iPhone 7, oh, blah, blah, blah. There's so much controversy about it. So if this was Apple's intention to start controversy and to stay in the market, to stay on the top of people's minds, to stay fresh and new, then they definitely did a great job. However, I think they could have done it in a lot better way. I think they could have completely redesigned the iPhone, making it such a better phone, making it the body better, designing it, giving it a different design, giving it maybe a different type of display. If anything, they should have actually increased the display so it's not 720. I think they should have went with at least 1080p, and if not, 1440. That would be the most ideal. 1440 is an amazing display to have on a phone. The iPhone 7 only has 2 gigabytes of RAM, whereas most phones being made today have 3 to 4 gigabytes of RAM. So iPhone is really slacking in most of their specs compared to all these other phones on the market right now. The sales of the iPhone fell 40.4 million units, down from the 48 million a year earlier. However, the decline of the Apple sales was actually a little bit less than Wall Street had expected, sending the stock up as much as 7% in the after-hours trading. So it seems to be that everybody is kind of expecting Apple sales to fall. And the reason behind that is because they keep producing the same product. They just keep producing the same product with a minor change and expect it to just blow up. You know, they change the battery or they change the camera. They take away the aux port, and that actually did blow up. They did a good job, and that is the truth, and as to why Apple is doing what they are doing, because they realize they are losing sales, they are losing money, and they need to stay fresh in the market. And the only way to do that is to one, take away the auxiliary jack. Make people have to buy an extra dongle. If they lose that very small, very easily lost dongle, what do they have to do? They have to buy another one. And at the moment, they are only being produced and sold by Apple. So along with having to buy an extra dongle, if you want to listen with headphones, you are going to have to do that with wireless Bluetooth headphones, unless you use the dongle to plug in your now outdated headphones that plug in via auxiliary. And the AirPods that Apple is selling sell at a price from $159. And these things are small. These things will be lost in a week tops. And if you lose them, guess what? If you're an Apple fan, more than likely you're going to purchase them again, spending that almost $200 once more. They're using the same concept that free-to-play games use, that use the in-app purchases. All those free apps that you download that have the in-app purchases to, spend $1 and get 500 gold pieces so you can build your army up. They're basically using the same thing. Those companies only rely on 1% of the players who actually spend the money to make them their millions. Apple is only going to rely on the 1 to 15% of consumers that want strictly Apple products. And when they lose their AirPods, they will come directly back to Apple to repurchase them instead of going through a third-party vendor of wireless Bluetooth headphones. And because of that, because they've made the price of the AirPods so expensive, they will be able to compensate a lot of their lost sales. And that's the action that they're taking. That's the course that they're going down. You can see a trend in this, like I was saying earlier, with the free apps that have the in-app purchases. They're not actually free. They're free if you don't actually spend the money, but it's that 1% that actually spends that $5 on those 10,000 gold that actually make the company the millions. That is what Apple is looking to do with the AirPods as well as the dongles. Now, granted, the dongle is much less expensive than the AirPods. People will still be wanting to buy that strictly from Apple if they are Apple fanboys, or fangirls, I should say, as well. However, I feel that Apple sales will be decreasing magnificently. I think that they will see a dramatic drop in sales, especially in the iPhone 7. I feel like they might actually see an increase in the iPhone 6 sales as compared to the iPhone 7. I feel like the iPhone 6 will end up selling more because it's basically the same phone, a little bit lower quality camera and a little bit lower quality battery, but the battery is still decent, the camera is still pretty darn good. And, you get the auxiliary port as well. You can charge your phone while listening to music. So that's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. Leave some comments down below of what you think about Apple and what you think about the iPhone 7 and the no auxiliary port and what you think the truth behind Apple is. If you like this video, be sure you give it a thumbs up and also be sure to subscribe to stay tuned for more. At 100 subscribers, I will be doing a giveaway, so be sure you stay tuned for that, and I will see you all in the next video.